So I started filming in an apartment in Los Angeles. It was 600 square feet, and I had 2 really cheap umbrella lights, which, funny story, I was using the wrong way. I had the bulb shining straight on the cake instead of using the umbrella to diffuse it. And I did that for months before a friend came over and told me I was doing it the wrong way.
Hello and welcome to the Just Send It podcast by Manychat. Today I am here with Emily, aka British Girl Bakes. In case you don't know her content yet, she has over 500K on social media across channels, which is amazing. And she posts cake decorating tutorials. They look so good, so yummy. And she also teaches students how to do the same as her, which is awesome. Welcome, Emily. We're excited to talk with you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So right off the bat, I have to ask this question because I've always wanted to know this, just like as somebody who enjoys watching baking. So I've heard that a lot of bakers will use one single cake to redecorate over and over again, and then just keep scrapping the same cake. So I need to know, is this true? And also, what's the longest that you've ever kept a cake?
That's a great question. Yes, it's true. I started doing it actually during COVID because ingredients were so hard to come by. So I would bake one cake and then just refrost over and over again. I could get hold of butter and powdered sugar, but flour was really difficult. So just baking once. And cakes will last in the fridge, honestly, over a year. It's crazy.
What?
Yeah, I wouldn't eat them, but they don't go moldy or melt or anything.
That's
definitely,
awesome.
Affectionately known as cake zombies, because they
just never die.
Again. Exactly.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I like that because then you're not wasting a lot of cake.
Exactly. Very true.
Awesome. Well, thank you for clearing that up. I want to know just a little bit into your backstory. Who inspired you to bake, to decorate, all that?
I think it's more what rather than who. I moved to Costa Rica after university college, and I was teaching English there. And while I was living there, I didn't love the desserts, and so I started baking for myself just to eat.
Oh, wow.
And then started baking for students, and I'd make them all birthday cakes, and that's where it started. And I did that for about a year, and then I stopped teaching and I started just doing cakes from home. And about a year after that, ended up opening a bakery and doing it full time. And I had the bakery for a few years before I met my husband, sold it, moved to Los Angeles. It was really it was just the situation. It was something I did for fun in my free time.
Yeah. So that's awesome. While you had your in-person brick and mortar bakery that you were working at, were you creating content for that?
Not in the sense that I do now. I had a rotating menu of 104 cupcake flavors.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's a lot.
It was. Each day I would make 6 flavors and I would take a photo of them and post them on Facebook. And that was really my only involvement with social media at the time. I would share photos of cakes that I'd made, but I didn't really go beyond that, except, and this is the reason really why British Girl Bakes started, I made a cake of a Mercedes car for a girl, and I took a video of the process and turned it into a time-lapse video. And to get it onto my Facebook page, I had to share it on YouTube. Then totally forgot about it. And just after I'd had my first son, I was on maternity leave and I really didn't want to go back to work. And I was trying to think of a way that I could create some kind of flexible working situation and stay home with my baby. And I stumbled across this video on YouTube and it had over 100,000 views. And that gave me the idea, what about if I make more videos? And instead of them being just purely entertainment, if I actually teach how to decorate cakes, which now is very common, but at the time there weren't that many people doing it. So I thought I would try it and see where I went.
Wow, that's really awesome. So you started on YouTube.
I did.
I don't think I knew
that was 2010. It was a long time ago.
And did content creation come easy to you in the beginning, or did you have to really work on it?
I think the YouTube versions of my videos were time-consuming, but the process seemed very natural. I was just teaching how I did something, and I would film it and then create a voiceover audio and put it together. And I'd never really done anything on computers before. I'm not very technological, but I really enjoyed the process of figuring it out. Turning those YouTube tutorials into content for Instagram and Facebook and other platforms was much more of a learning curve, because I think it's natural for me to go into my teacher mode. That's what I was doing when I was in Costa Rica. That's the way my brain works, to teach how to do something. But switching it into something that's purely entertainment is is more challenging for me.
Yeah, well, also because in long form, there's a lot more opportunity to speak a lot and just like ramble and talk and share the little nitty gritty versus in short form, it's just like you have to really cut out so much.
Yes,
So I'm assuming that was hard.
Yes, and just being so engaging with like every word and every second of every video matters. It's a lot of editing time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. So obviously, one of the things that you've done is you've been able to build an online business through this content creation, which a lot of our viewers and creators in general are always looking to do, right? How do you turn something that you love into something that then pays you? So we actually did a study recently, and we found that only 1 in 10 creators actually see themselves as a business. So I'm wondering what point in your journey you started to see yourself as more of a business than maybe just someone posting online?
That's a really good question. I think it would be when I started my cake school, because when I was just posting on YouTube and on Instagram, I hoped it could become an income-generating business because I wanted to be able to stay home with my kids.
Right.
But it still felt more like a hobby than a business. But once I started my cake school and I started selling my courses, so people were paying me for my videos directly, that felt like a business. So I think probably at that point. And that was almost 2 years after I'd started.
Right. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who's trying to maybe get to the point where you're at? Like if they're maybe creating content but not monetizing, would you suggest that they also start some sort of course or something like that?
Another good question. I think the two things would be to diversify, because if you put all of your eggs in one basket, if you just focus on one platform and the algorithm just doesn't like your content, then you've put a lot of time into it to not get anything out of it. But if you split your time between different platforms, then you can repurpose the same content and just have a better chance of one of your channels or platforms really performing well. But the other thing, I guess, sharing a personal anecdote, is I started creating videos in January 2018, and I gave myself 1 year to see if I could turn it into an income. And in November of that year, I had made 0 cents. I had sold the cakes that I was making, but I hadn't made any money from videos, so I was assuming that come the end of December, I would stop and try something else.
Right.
And the first week of December, one of my videos blew up. It was about how to make buttercream stripes on cakes. And I'd experimented with this cake comb for a while and figured out how to use it, made a really detailed tutorial, put it on YouTube. It blew up. And that first weekend in December, I was able to monetize my channel, which meant at the time 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, which is crazy because my videos are about 5 minutes each. So that was a lot of views. But I hit it over a weekend thanks to that one video. So I guess the message for people who are starting out is just keep experimenting. If you're doing something you're really passionate about, just keep making videos and something will resonate with a large enough audience that will then tell you this is the kind of content that I need to make. And it might take 10 months, it might take less. But if you just keep creating, eventually you'll find what works.
Wow. I feel inspired. That's amazing. I know that YouTube, especially like any creators who started during like the big rise of YouTube where it was like the platform, I would want to know, is the platform monetization something that is a like good source of income for you? Like, is that one of your bigger sources of income? Because a lot of people strive for that, but it's not always the best. What are your thoughts on that?
So one of the things about content creation is it's not like, of course, like a regular salary, like it's not predictable. So it does fluctuate. Correct. But I would say that my cake school and YouTube and Facebook are about the same typically. So it's one of the bigger sources, but it does depend. If you look at, you go into all of the little details, like the money you make per 1,000 views, it changes from video to video. So it's not predictable. I have some videos, like my most successful videos might have been a year or 2 years ago, that are still my biggest income generators on YouTube. So by posting consistently, you're just making sure you're keeping your channel fresh, and YouTube continues to show your older, more successful videos to people, then you can continue to make money from them. Yeah,
no, that's honestly really good advice, because YouTube is one of the channels that's the most evergreen out of all of them. Yes. Like Instagram, the videos die after a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, maybe a year, but that's like super rare. But YouTube, I'm also on YouTube as a creator. I'm also monetized, and it's the same type of thing. Like I have one short that ended up getting 28 million views, which is like just crazy. And it was like a year ago, and it still generates me money today, which is why I love YouTube, but it is difficult to monetize.
It is. It takes a while, and the videos take longer to make than on other platforms. I haven't dabbled much in shorts, but I imagine that's a similar thing to Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, TikToks, that they are shorter, so there should be less editing, but every second counts, so
yeah.
It's also a tricky editing process.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I want to get a little bit more into your social media strategy.
Okay.
One of the things that obviously I notice is that you mainly post videos. I'm curious, like for Instagram, have you ever experimented with carousels? Do you find that you just don't like to create them, or your audience doesn't really resonate with it?
I should get more into that. I think the biggest struggle for me as a creator is time. I have 3 little kids, and it's difficult to juggle everything. And so for me, the easiest way to be productive is to choose a few different things to focus on and just stick with those things. So I do a YouTube video every week, I do my Instagram Reels, and I haven't experimented much beyond Reels on Instagram. I keep intending to do carousels and stories, and I'll go hard for a few days on stories, and then it just fades off. So I think carousels are definitely one of the things I'd like to have more time to experiment with, along with stories. Maybe that's a project for next year.
Yeah, I mean, definitely don't feel bad. You can't do it all. Like, all of us experience this to some capacity. Yes. And also, if videos are working, I'm in the boat of like, you don't need to, try to fix something if it's not broken. Like,
That's true.
If it's working, and it's fine. If you have more time, go for it. But if not, I don't think it's a huge problem.
I think carousels are one of those things where if you look at the different content I create, repurposing it to create a carousel shouldn't take more than a few minutes. It's just about adding it into my strategy and my schedule and my workflow.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. Also curious, because you do long form YouTube videos, do you ever condense those YouTube videos into the shorts, like into like shorts and reels, or do you create fully new content?
No, I very rarely create fully new content. Almost everything I make is repurposed across all of my platforms. But I've played around with different styles of repurposing the YouTube tutorials, and I can either create something that's really catchy or satisfying to watch with trending audio, or I can condense it to like a mini tutorial with voiceover. And so I'm still experimenting back and forth to see which is the most successful. But at the moment, I'm leaning towards shortened versions of my YouTube tutorial with a really quick tutorial voiceover.
That's really, really smart, because then obviously you don't have to refilm, which is amazing. And then I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that you would redo the voiceover for the short version.
Yes. I did try editing the YouTube audio for Reels, but it was so time consuming. It's much quicker just to redo it.
Yeah.
I also found that for YouTube, I like to script like almost word for word my tutorials, because I'm trying to condense as much information as possible into a 5-minute YouTube tutorial. Whereas for Instagram, since it's much more entertainment based, I still want to provide value, but it doesn't need to be so packed full of details. Most of the viewers probably aren't cake decorators and are just watching it out of curiosity. So I find that for Instagram, what performs better is if I just watch the video that I've recorded or edited on my phone and just do a natural voiceover into my microphone. And so then it only takes seconds to do rather than the whole scripting process.
That's really interesting. I was actually, one of my questions that I was going to ask you is like, why you always do voiceovers? And I was like, is there a strategy behind that, whatever? But I'm assuming it's just because you take them from YouTube.
Yes. Yes.
So when it comes to the different platforms, because I know that you're also on TikTok, how do you kind of approach each platform differently? Like, do you focus on TikTok? Is it just a place that you throw things?
Yeah, TikTok is like a dumping ground at the moment.
It's okay.
I started the account out of curiosity a few years ago and then abandoned it because I just didn't have time. And then recently, I've just launched a content creation course. It's called The Strategic Creator, and it teaches people how to create content. And as I was doing that, I realized, well, I guess I'm going to need to learn how to do TikTok. So over the last year, I've spent more time on TikTok trying to figure out what works best on that. So I'd say my priorities are YouTube and Instagram, and then if I have time, I'll do Facebook and TikTok as well.
Amazing. So let's get into your course and what you do. Do you find that most of the students of your course also are bakers or want to decorate cakes, or do you find that it's anybody?
It can be for anyone. I think I've mostly spoken about it on my British Girl Bakes accounts, which typically has cake decorators as the audience. So most of the people are cake decorators, but it really applies to anyone. I've talk about it in the introduction, that you can do it for really any passion. So it could be people who are really into DIY or really into gardening, or really any passion you have that you want to share, how you can turn that into content and monetize it.
That's so wonderful. One of the things that I noticed is that you have a wait list open for the course. So I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's not an evergreen course, it's like a live course. Is that true?
So there are two different options.
Okay.
There is an evergreen, like the pre-recorded course content, but then I also do live workshops or like coaching groups. They are 16-week or 4-month sessions where we meet every 2 weeks after going through each module of the course, and then we just brainstorm or do exercises or Q&A sessions about that module.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you find that you prefer live teaching and live courses?
I do. I mean, both of them have such advantages. I love that I can pre-record content and get it out there just while my baby's napping or after they go to bed at night, and just fit it into whatever time I have. But one of the things about content creation is it can be so isolating because it's possible to do everything virtually. And so doing things live, whether it's on a screen or in person, is so nice. Actually seeing people's feedback and reactions and being able to help them in the moment rather than just answering comments on a video.
Yeah, that definitely is so special. I always love like a live Zoom call, like a webinar. You can like interact with people in the chat. I don't know.
Yes.
There's something so great about that. One of the other things that I noticed that you also have are some freebies. One of the ones that I noticed was like a free course that you have, like a free workshop or something like that. Do you find that those freebies are what get people into your paid offers?
Yes, I use, so that was the first online course that I created just to experiment, 10 frosting techniques. And it's how I get people to sign up for my newsletter, and then also how to get them into the cake school. And once they're there, they can see all of the other courses that are available.
That's really awesome. What tools are you using for your business, for social media growth, all that?
Manychat.
Yes, we are here.
Manychat actually has been such a game changer for me for Instagram. When I first started, I really focused on it because Instagram growth is so fast compared to YouTube growth. And so it felt so rewarding. And then it kind of plateaued for me. And when I looked at my income coming in each month, I could see direct income coming from YouTube that paid for ads, my website paying for ads, my cake school, Facebook where they pay for views. But for Instagram as a platform didn't pay directly. Occasional bonus programs, but they didn't pay directly. So it felt like my time wasn't as well spent on Instagram, and I focused on the other platforms. But then I realized actually Instagram can be more profitable than any of them if you use it the right way. But it was just so time consuming for me to do. And then when Manychat came out, it was such a game changer because what's tough about Instagram is there are no clickable links in captions. And you can put clickable links in your stories, but it becomes very salesy very quickly, which people don't respond so well to. But with Manychat, by using comment automation, it feels not salesy, it feels so personal. And it essentially puts a clickable link in your caption. So it means any single reel can send people exactly where you want to go. So although Instagram isn't paying you directly, you can send them to YouTube, website, cake school, Facebook, wherever you want them to go, and monetize their views that way. So yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. That was incredible. We love to hear it. I am curious, what is the typical offer that you're sharing using the comment automation? Like, is it mainly your freebies? Is it your paid courses?
I try and change it up a lot. The most common question people ask me is what buttercream recipe I use, and I have that on my website. So whenever I share a technique, I'll just say, this is my 4-minute buttercream, comment buttercream for the recipe.
Right.
And so I have it set up on Manychat that anytime anyone comments buttercream in any of my Instagram videos, they will automatically be sent a message with the recipe to my 4-minute buttercream. And then once they get onto the website, I have links to get to my cake school, and I have ad revenue on there and the link to my YouTube channel. So everyone can get to where I want them to go once they get that buttercream recipe and sign up for the free course as well. And then, I can also use it to send people to get the free course. I can share a teaser from an online course and then send them the course link using comment automation. Or if I share a quick tip from a long-form YouTube tutorial, underneath that reel in the caption, I can say, if you want to watch the long-form tutorial, comment blah, and then I'll send them the link to that long-form video.
Yeah, that's really awesome, and definitely very popular use cases too. One of the things that I really liked that you said was that Manychat helps you feel a little bit more personal than just like sending people to a link in your bio or a link on stories, things like that. One of the questions that I always like to ask guests who come on is, how do you balance, like, since you're growing a personal brand, how do you balance making your Manychat automation feel personal while also knowing that it is an automation?
Well, I think, using myself as an example, I saw comment automation on people's posts for a long time before I realized it was Manychat, and I had no idea it was automated. Maybe I'm a little bit behind in the AI world, but I didn't realize. And so I was doing it myself, but manually replying to every comment and manually sending the link to everyone's DM. I didn't realize you could automate.
Oh my goodness, that probably took forever.
It took so long, and Instagram would block me from my own account because I was sending so many messages and comments. People who aren't in the content creation world, I don't know if they do know that it's automated, depending on how you set it up. I suppose it's become so common now that maybe most people do realize it's automated. But I love that when you can set it up so that when someone comments with whatever the trigger word is, you can have 3 different responses from you. So to the first person, you say, "Thank you, check your inbox." And the next one you say, "Just sent you the message." And so when someone scrolls down underneath a reel, they might not know it's automated because it does look like you're genuinely replying to each one.
No, I mean, you're definitely correct. A lot of people do not know it's automated. And when we tell them, hey, this is what we do, they're like, that's you? This happens a lot when I'm like in an Uber randomly and I'm like, oh, I work at this company. And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I explain it and they're like, I know what you do. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. Just to let you know, you're not alone in thinking that it wasn't automation. One of the things as well that I noticed when you do share comment automations, you don't necessarily put it on every post, which I think is a great like strategy. I'm just wondering if there was kind of a strategy behind that, or if it's just...
I think I'm extra conscious of not being too salesy because one of the target audience when I first started making videos was absolute beginner cake decorators who didn't want to go out and buy a bunch of tools and materials. They just wanted to use what they already had. So I try and make my tutorials really basic, aimed at that person. And so since my brand is not telling you go out and buy this and buy this and buy this, I'm so conscious of being salesy. And even if that means sending them to one of my other platforms. So yes, I think I will intentionally not include comment automation in every thread. And sometimes I just put something there just for the value of it without any call to action to ask people to go to any other site, whether that's with Manychat or just a written call to action, just so that it feels, I guess, authentic and helpful.
I always think that's a good strategy. Like, I don't think anyone ever wants to come across salesy. I think it's easy to accidentally do it. Yes. So I think that's awesome that you're focusing on that. Because we are Manychat and we love the DMs here, I would love to ask you, what is one DM that changed your life or changed your business? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
I don't know about life-changing, but one that was really exciting was, have you heard of How to Cake It? Yolanda Gamp. She's very big in the cake decorating world and has the biggest cake decorating channel, I think, in the world. I got a DM from her business partner asking me to teach one of her like live classes, and that, I mean, I had to I don't know how many times I had to read it to figure out if this was legit or not. I had to research to see if this really was her business partner. That blew my mind, so that was cool.
That is amazing. That was a great answer.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. No, I know that's kind of a hard question, but wow, that is so cool. It really just shows that like there are so many opportunities that can come from having a social media presence. I don't think that non-creators fully understand that. Like, I don't know, there's just so many like connections that I've personally made through Instagram DMs, business connections. Heck, I even met my husband on social media.
Did you really? Yes, that's amazing.
I did. So I don't know. I feel like there's such an opportunity there, you know? So kind of switching topics, on the topic of AI, because I know that this is like a very obviously big thing that we're leaning into here. In the same study that I mentioned earlier, we found that more than half of creators are planning to use AI next year in their business and their social media. Are you using AI at all right now?
A little bit. again, starting fairly recently, I'd say like in the last year. I resisted it for a while. But yes, I'll use it to help me come up with a hook for the on-screen text for the first line of a reel, or copy and paste my YouTube script into it and ask it to condense it into some short bullet points for an Instagram reel. Things that would take me a really long time to do manually before. I've tried using it to come up with ideas for tutorials, but I either need to refine it more by giving it more information about my channel, or find a different way to ask the question, because I don't get great results with that.
Yeah, I almost think that the best way to use AI, at least in my experience, is as like a creative partner, not necessarily to replace the ideation part.
That's a great way of phrasing it.
Right? Because it's like, it can come up with some ideas, but usually they're just like very basic. And I don't know, sometimes I use it as a starting point for ideas, and then I just trickle off from there. I'm like, okay, this is kind of a start, but then I can make it better.
Yes. I'll use it for the more tedious things, like, or another one is if I have a YouTube script and I'm going to put it as a blog post, I'll choose a key phrase and give it to ChatGPT, and it will put it throughout the text for me, or create my subheadings using the key phrase. So yeah, for tedious typing labor.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I love that. Are you planning to use any additional AI tools next year? Or are you kind of a little hesitant?
It's not something I've really looked into.
Yeah.
I know that there are AI tools for editing videos, and I tried putting in one of my YouTube videos into one of them to turn it into a reel, but it just doesn't work with my particular content. I don't know if it's not advanced enough yet, or if my tutorials are maybe too detailed, so it's difficult to condense. So no plans, but definitely open to it.
Yeah. Switching gears. Have you hired for your business yet, or are you doing it all yourself?
So far, all on my own.
Okay.
I did outsource some editing to, I tried out a few different editors, but I honestly found it was more time consuming to outsource it than to just do it myself. I think I have such a good workflow going. I've been doing it for 8 years, almost every day. So I have my way of doing it, and getting the files over to someone else and explain exactly what I wanted, and then having to watch it back and send edits just took much longer than doing it myself.
Are you type A or perfectionist a little? Because I am, and I feel that. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not always that the case, but I'm kind of perfectionist, so it's really hard for me to like give away my work to someone else. I just like to do it.
Yes, I think it's that, and I'm also really uncomfortable giving feedback. So kind of tiptoeing around, asking them to do things a different way was just really
You're like,
challenging.
no, this is
me.
good, it's fine, it's okay. And then you're like,
I'll
no, it's
just
not
share
good. No, I know. I've also been there, and it can be really tough. But yeah, I mean, is it something that you would consider in the future? Maybe not outsourcing editing as much, but maybe something else, or no?
Yeah, I would love to have someone do the filming for me.
Yeah.
That's a time-consuming part to set it up each time. And I'd love help with when I do anything live. It's challenging to respond to comments and do everything I'm doing and make sure the cameras are okay all on my own. So yeah, I would be open to that.
Yeah.
I've been building a new studio, which I'm moving into on Thursday. So I'm really excited, and that's going to have a bit more space, and that's a possibility there.
Whoa, that's incredible. So is the studio, it's to help you film your current content and at a higher quality? Is that the idea? Or just have your own separate section, its own space?
So actually neither of them. It's just I'm moving house, and my studio was built into the old house, and now I'm doing basically recreating the same thing but in the new house, but it's just going to be a bit bigger so that I'll have a bit more space.
Okay, I got you.
In the old one there wasn't really space for another body in the studio. It looks quite spacious what you see on camera, like anything I guess, but behind the tripods it was like the tripod leg and then the wall. There wasn't much space.
Can you share a little bit, especially now that you're building this new studio for your new house, into like what filming equipment you use? Like, are you just using your iPhone or using a camera?
I started off using iPhones for the first, maybe 3 years. I was too afraid. I'd never used a proper camera before. I was too afraid to use one. And then I started experimenting with a camera, and the footage was just so much better. So switched to using cameras. And I will sometimes film with a phone vertically and then have my cameras horizontally. So I do sometimes still use a phone, but I just find the quality of the camera is amazing. The one advantage a phone has is that it does a better job than my cameras, I think, at keeping the right thing in focus, especially if I'm doing something really close up like piping. My camera might suddenly start focusing on my fingernail instead of the piping.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the iPhones now are such good camera quality. Like, I recently got the newest phone and I was like, whoa, this is
crazy,
like,
isn't it?
so good.
Yes, and such a flat, thin device.
I know, it is kind of crazy. So I feel like I know what your answer is going to be to this, but like for somebody who maybe is just getting started, would you suggest that they get a camera right away, or do you think they can start with their phone?
I think if they happen to have a camera and if they're comfortable using it, yes. But it's also really frustrating to film a 3-hour cake decorating process and look back and see that your footage is blurry, which happened to me a lot when I was first using a camera. So yeah, I'd say if you have a phone, definitely start with the phone. If you're going to make an investment, I think having a second phone or just a kind of a cheap camera can make a huge difference to your video so that you have 2 different angles, but it doesn't need to be a fancy high-end camera.
No, I definitely agree with you, because it's also a learning curve to learn to film on a camera as well. Like you said, a lot of times you accidentally film something blurry, or you don't catch the audio in whatever mic you're using, or God, there's so many times I've had to re-film things, and it's just so annoying.
It's true. And the file size is huge.
Yes.
I don't know how you do it, but I save all of my video files onto external hard drives, and I think I'm on number 26 of 4 terabyte drives. The file sizes are just enormous compared to on a phone where they're a lot smaller.
Yeah, well, yeah. So that's why I feel like creators oftentimes think that when you're first getting started, you need to like have everything perfect right away. And I disagree with that so much. I think just starting before you feel ready is just the way to go. Start with your iPhone. You don't need a mic right away. Like, just do it.
Yes.
And it just helps to get better. I don't know.
Yes, because you're never going to feel ready.
Tell me about it.
But also, your first videos, even if you have the perfect setup, are going to be terrible because you're going to be awkward, you're going to stumble and do things wrong. So you might as well make those mistakes in bad quality videos. And then by the time you're ready to invest in better equipment, your quality of your videos is going to be so much better. I confirm, don't buy all of the equipment, just get started.
Yeah. I saw a video that you posted where you said that you started with like a white sheet in the background. And you said that you grew like to 100K or something with a... Yeah. Tell the camera, because they don't know this. Tell the audience.
So I started filming in an apartment in Los Angeles. It was 600 square feet. It was tiny. And I was filming on a little table pushed against a wall. But it was an ugly background. So I hung up a white sheet behind it. And I had 2 really cheap umbrella lights, which, funny story, I was using the wrong way. I had the bulb shining straight on the cake instead of using the umbrella to diffuse it. And I did that for months before a friend came over and told me I was doing it the wrong way. So, like I said, start with a bad setup and practice everything else. After that, we moved and I started filming in a garage, and there was no natural light, just my umbrella lights, and I got a few more lights. And eventually, after, I want to say it was maybe 6 years, was when I actually built a studio with proper lighting and backdrop and everything. But my growth, interestingly, the growth from starting until building the studio was much more than since having the studio. Like, I'm not growing because I have the right setup. I think if your content is valuable, it doesn't really matter how you're sharing it, what your studio or your setup looks like.
Wow, yeah, it's so true, and that's like such a testimony to like just start. You know, nothing's ever going to be perfect, and like you said, you're never going to feel ready. I think it's hard because we see a lot on social media of like the perfect house. This person has their house is always clean, and it's like
that's the worst.
But it's so hard.
Yes,
I know. I don't have kids yet, but my house is also never perfect all the time, and it's like it's so hard to compare. Like, do you feel that comparison game going on social media?
Yes, I think what is helping is the generation of TikTok and Instagram users are filming anytime, anywhere, and so there's less of the polished content than I thought there would be at this point. So I think there definitely are accounts which are absolutely perfect, polished content, but I think the content that people relate to the most are the videos that look like they really are someone's home, or, you know, you can be standing in your kitchen making a cake with terrible lighting. As long as people can see what's happening, I think they will respond better to something that feels real and authentic rather than something that's overly polished.
Yeah, that's so true. And I also feel like we feel that in the camera when something doesn't necessarily feel authentic to you also. So like if you're, you know, trying to make your house look perfect and like everything's spick and span, but it's not really you, I feel like it just comes across. Like there's something to being yourself and showing up in your authentic self that I feel like people just really resonate with,
yes,
you know?
Yes, it is easy to tell. You're right.
Yeah. On a different topic, do you ever work with brands, whether on YouTube or Instagram? Like, have you ever done any brand deals?
I have. I do them very sparingly because going back to what I was saying earlier about not being too salesy, I'm so conscious of telling people that they should buy a certain thing because I'm worried if they do buy it and they end up not liking it, it almost undoes all of the tips and tricks that I've shared because it doesn't, if they don't believe in a product that I've promoted so enthusiastically, then maybe they'll think that the rest of what I'm sharing isn't right for them either. So I have worked with a few brands, but they're only the ones that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because you're also in a very specific niche to where, like, you know, if you randomly promoted, like, I don't know, a vacuum or something, it's like weird. Like, you can't do that, you know? So I was wondering, like, if you're more picky with brands that you would work with, which would make a lot of sense if you were.
Yes, there's that. And then also, honestly, it's so insanely time-consuming to work with brands compared to just creating your own content. The negotiations at the beginning, but then having them check and edit your stuff and following all of the guidelines that they send out. And then also, if it's with a product, experimenting with the product and creating something that's probably new to you using that product. So it's just massively time consuming and it just hasn't been a possibility for me until recently. For the first 6 years, I had a child or 2 or 3 at home with me. And it was only in my 6th year that all of them had childcare and I had big chunks of time to do things. So until then, it wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah. And considering that you have students who learn like social media growth and topics from you, do you find that a lot of your students want to work with brands or are they more interested in building their own thing?
I think brands is maybe the initial incentive to getting started with content creation because that's the way that most people know that they can make money. But then once they get started, they realize there's a massive range of things that you can do to be able to monetize your content by using different platforms or your own. And that working with brands isn't always necessary, or it's never necessary, but it's not always the option that gives you the most revenue for the time spent.
Yeah, that is a great point. And I feel like to your point, a lot of people look at the brand deal as like the shiny object, like, oh, I can get this thing for free and, you know, and just in exchange for content, and then I can get paid for it too. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, like you said, it's very time consuming. I think it's a lot more time consuming than people realize. And I feel like a lot of creators, especially in the beginning, they get sucked into doing a lot of brand deals, a lot of free brand deals too, the gifted deals.
Yes,
which takes up a lot of time, you know, and you're, even with that, you're not getting paid anything. So it's like, you're literally just spending your time promoting this thing just to get it for free. And it's like, is it worth it? I don't know. So I get it. Definitely. All right. Well, as we kind of wrap up here, I am curious for a little bit of your advice. If someone who's listening really wants to turn their hobby or their passion into a form of income for them, what is one step that you would suggest that they take this week to make that happen?
I would say film something. Pick a platform, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, whatever. Pick a platform and decide what you want to share and just film it, edit it, and put it up there. Do it within a week. Don't spend any long thinking about it and go from there, because it's that first video is the hardest. And once you've done it, it will become easier and easier. And if you give yourself a time limit, like ideally do it within a day, but if you give yourself a time limit, you'll get it done within that time frame. Whether you give yourself a day or a week, you can probably get the same amount done because of the time pressure. So yeah, just get that first video out there.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that advice. It was so great to have you here. Would you mind, you can speak right to the audience, would you mind just sharing your like social platforms so that so that they know where they can find you?
Oh, yeah, of course. It's British Girl Bakes, and that's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and my website is britishgirlbakes.com, and that has my cake school on it and also all of my free recipes and tutorials. And if you're interested in the content creation course, that is on British Girl Bakes as well, or it's www.thestrategiccreator.com.
Thank you so much. And please check her out because you have some really beautiful cakes that I am so impressed by. I wish I could do what you do. Maybe I should learn a little bit more from you to get a little better at cake decorating.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye. Any creators who started during like the big rise of YouTube where it was like the platform, which it still is. I love YouTube as this is going on YouTube.